Hello humans, it's just Martine, and welcome to the last reading vlog before Squash That Series starts. Squash That Series is a readathon hosted by Kayla from Kayla Ray Reads and Bailey from Is Bailey Reading, two of my booktube besties, and it starts on the 7th. Today, it's October 3rd, and so starting this weekend, so I have some reviews to share with you, and going through until Squash That Series starts this Friday, I have some reading that I want to accomplish that is not series related. Therefore, I do not want to do it during Squash That Series because I want to earn my team all of the points. In a little bit, I owe you reviews for two books. One is a graphic novel, Tomboy, or by the placement of the barcode, as my sister called it, Barcode Boy, and then Dear Martin. So stay tuned for those reviews, and then I have two other books that I'd like to get to. We'll see what happens, but I've started them both, so I really hope it happens. All right, it's Tuesday evening and I have 3 books to review for you. 2 of them I finished over the weekend and 1 I finished just today. So I'll go in order that I finished them. First, I read Tomboy by Liz Prince and I'm giving this 3.5 stars. It's a graphic novel, well technically it's a graphic memoir about Liz Prince and her growing up as a tomboy and what that experience was like for her. I did like the message at the end about how like she realized she saw girls as weak and that led to her not wanting to be like a girl, but then she realized like girls could be strong. Like I thought that was a good message and an interesting message. This wasn't like my new favorite thing, but I did enjoy it. And as far as graphic novels go, I also enjoyed this too. It's like a very simple like black and white art style, and so although it's very different from the Diary of a Wimpy Kid art style, it did kind of remind me of what it felt like reading that growing up, especially because she does have times where like she inputs sections and like sentences in between the different panels, and so it felt like more in line with the Diary of the Wimpy Kid style, which I loved reading those growing up. So I think this had like a better chance of me enjoying it than some other graphic novels did because the art style felt like more familiar to me. On Sunday, I finished Dear Martin by Nick Stone, and I have to thank Nick Stone for this book so much for so many reasons. 1, she handled such difficult topics with such absolute grace. But 2, I gave this book 5 stars and I'm kind of in a 3-star slump right now. And that's not a bad thing, like 3 stars is not a bad rating, but sometimes you want to feel one way or another about a book, and I felt so many things about this book. One of the reasons I'm giving this a 5-star is because there were things the characters, not the protagonists of the story, but just random characters, did or said in this book that made me so mad. And I can tell that a book is really well done when I feel that emotion really viscerally, and there were some things that characters said in this that made me put the book down and take some deep breaths. There were characters in here that I really hated who made me really mad, and that is a mark of great writing. This book follows Justice, and he's a black kid who goes to like a pretty nice school, and so he's living in this conflicting world. Meanwhile, there's the background of a lot of police brutality towards young black men, and so it being told from the perspective of a young black man is particularly important to the story. Justice starts writing these letters to Martin Luther King Jr., who's obviously not still around in this, but he's writing these letters to him to try and access like what would Martin do in these situations and stuff, which is why it's called Dear Martin. This was a really quick read but incredibly impactful, and I'm looking forward to reading the sequel / companion in the next week because this was just so good. I don't know how else to describe it. Nick Stone just did a fantastic job with this book. And then today I finished Babel for Cretins. I'd started this some time ago. At one point I almost finished it for a Bookoplathon prompt, but then I ended up finishing another book for it, so I finally got around to finishing this. I'm giving it 3 stars, The Curse of the 3-Star Slump. This is like a great concept, sapphic academics basically. So there's this woman and she ends up having like this one-night stand with this other woman who she meets on an airplane, and then she goes to work in the next coming days. They announce the college's new president is here. The woman she had the one-night stand with walks onto the stage. The main character for this is up for tenure, so there's like a lot of contention surrounding that, and so there's just a lot of stress on her part about like, how do I handle the fact that we had like a previous romantic connection and stuff, and they're still very drawn to each other. So yeah, there were times when the pacing for this was a bit off, and I felt like the ending was just a little too perfect. The author did try to spin that in terms of a eucatastrophe, and I can appreciate that from a literary standpoint, but it still didn't have the same impact. This was like good fun, and I'm glad that I read it. I'm always down for some more queer romance, but this wasn't like my new favorite thing. I could not figure out if this was self-published. If anything, it's published from like a very small company, but the author designed the cover, which leads me to believe that this is like a self-published book, but again, I couldn't figure that out. There are still like 2 more books that I'd love to finish before Squash That series starts on Friday. Well, technically 3, but one's for a different vlog. So the other day I started To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers, and I'm 17 pages in, but it's not that long. It's like 150 pages. So this is not my priority for reading tonight, but hopefully it will be my priority tomorrow and Thursday. And then my current ebook read is Horror Show by Nathan Allen, I think, maybe. And I'm not sure I'll be able to finish that in time, but I would really like to. So we'll see, and I'll keep you updated, hopefully better than I did while reading these 3 books. Happy Wednesday morning. I just wanted to update you because I'm making progress in To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. I'm now at like the 2nd exoplanet that they're exploring, and I am loving this book so far. Usually I would be really annoyed at how slowly I'm getting through a book, especially of this size, but it's just so fascinating. So I don't care. I'm like glad to be spending this much time with it, if that makes sense. So making good progress there. My hope is to finish it by the end of the day tomorrow, which means I should make a little more progress today and then progress tomorrow. We'll see how things pan out, because I also haven't done my 75 hard reading challenge for the day yet, and this week has been kind of a mixed bag. So, but this is the main goal before the end of this, and if I could finish my ebook too, that would be great, but mainly this. Happy Thursday. This morning I finished To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers, and I'm so excited because I'm giving this 5 stars. This is actually the first Becky Chambers that I've given 5 stars to. I've given the other 2 I've read 4 stars, so I generally really enjoy Becky Chambers writing, but this one just, it was a really good space book. The basic concept behind this one is that there's this woman and she's part of this crew, and they've been sent out to investigate 4 different exoplanets. So they land on the surface and they're scientists, and they go and they discover new species and stuff like that. And it's just so richly detailed and like smart. And this book also does a great job of like introducing people to some scientific concepts and things. So that's also fun. Like the main point of this story was seeing the other planets and like imagining what different life would be like. And so I found it fascinating and so well written, and it was a slower read but like so enjoyable every minute of it. I had such a good time. I think my favorite of the planets that they talked about was the second one, which to be fair I think was the main character's favorite planet that they visited as well. Really pleased about this one. Hello, it's Friday morning, and last night I finished reading Horror Show by Nathan Allen. I'm giving this 4 stars. It was super, super fun. So basically it starts out as this regular horror book, and then we start getting the perspectives of the author as he's writing it. I don't think this is a major spoiler because there's still lots after that happens and such, but eventually the main character of the story becomes sentient that he's in a story, which is a trope that I absolutely love. And this one was handled very well, and so it made fun of a lot of the things that like horror books do. The callbacks throughout it were just like really good. Like I had a fun time, so glad I read that. And now it's the start of Squash That series, so I'm going to end this vlog here. If you liked it, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. Have you read a book where the main character becomes aware that they're a character in a book? If so, leave it down below because I want to hear about it. And subscribe for more reading, writing, and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!